Sometimes how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
I am not an African American.
You're an Oreo cookie, white in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro, I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I would slap you.
Go ahead, make my day.
Black as the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
United the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. You can get involved by calling 888-7753-773, 888-77-JESSE. Check out my weekly column on WorldNetDaily.com, WorldNetDaily.com. One of my heroes is with us, folks. When I grow up, I want to become just like Dr. Ben Carson. He's here with us to talk about his brand new book, and is One Nation, what we can all do to save America's future. And very interesting book. Dr. Carson has been here before, and right now he's traveling around the country, folks, to promote his book. He's down in Atlanta, so I definitely appreciate his time with us this morning. Dr. Carson, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Always good to be with you.
Yeah, I totally appreciate you being here. I know you're a busy man. Very interesting book. And because we have limited time, there's so many things I want to ask. I'm going to get to the ones I think is important first. You write about free speech. I have noticed that we are losing free speech. Those who disagree with the liberal point of view, and Congress is even, the Democratic aspect of Congress is discussing changing the First Amendment. How do we prevent that from happening? How do we gain the freedom back that we've lost when it comes to speech?
Well, I think one of the reasons that the secular progressives have been so successful is because the majority, who have common sense, have adopted a go-along-to-get-along attitude. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. We don't want to be called a name. We don't want an IRS audit. We don't want to lose our job.
Yeah.
So we've become sort of beaten down. And we'd have to recognize that freedom is not free. You have to fight for it. You have to maintain it. And you'll never maintain it with a go-along-to-get-along attitude. So that's one of the points that I make very, very vigorously in this book. We can't submit to that.
And you do make that point. I talk to a lot of folks around the country, and they are afraid of losing a job or losing a house. And white Americans are afraid of the word racism, like 90 going north. How do you come to the point where you say, you know what, if I lose, and I don't want folks to lose their jobs either, but if I lose my job or if I lose my house, I'm still going to stand for what is right. How does one get to that point?
Well, as I mentioned in the book, we have to do the same thing that the early pioneers did, the patriots. They were very disgusted with the rule of King George III. So they started having town meetings, getting together with everybody under their sphere of influence, including the Loyalists, and talking about what kind of America do you want to have? What are you willing to fight for? What do you want to pass on to your children? And by having those discussions, they encouraged each other. And that's how a ragtag bunch of militiamen defeated the most powerful nation on earth. But when we stay silent, and political correctness has a lot to do with that, don't talk. Saul Alinsky says never talk to your adversary, because that humanizes them, and your job is to demonize them. That's why you see all the demonization going around.
Yeah.
Look at what's going on our college campuses. These are supposed to be the bastions of intellectualism and thought and discussion. And we're teaching our kids, if somebody doesn't agree with you, don't go hear them. Don't let anybody else hear them. If they have a business, destroy it. Destroy their reputation. Those are the kinds of things that precede fascism.
Yeah. This morning, the news reported that Barack Obama released 5 terrorist, evil people for one American soldier, and he did it without the approval of Congress. He didn't even discuss it with detainees, is the word I'm looking for. And he didn't discuss it with Congress, and there are scandals after scandals that is connected to Barack Obama. He doesn't seem to care about what anyone thinks.
Well, to him, Congress is like a little fly. Just get away from me.
Yeah.
And to a degree, it's partly the fault of Congress because they have to have a spine. They have to be willing to stand up to them. If you have somebody with a dictatorial complex, they're not going to stop as long as they don't feel any resistance.
And so when you become president, and we're all praying that you will, 2016, what will you do about all that? How would you change all that?
Well, first of all, we have to place the Constitution front and center.
Yes.
I think it was a God-inspired document. And as we try to put it aside, we destroy ourselves. We have to come back to understanding what are our values. We need to talk about this openly, not keep everything shrouded in silence. Because the Bible says, without a vision, the people perish.
Yeah.
When you don't know who you are, then you're going in 600 different directions. And that is the thing that has preceded the decline and destruction of so many pinnacle nations. I think also we have to understand what our priorities are. Right now, what is the thing that is most likely to destroy our nation? It is our unsustainable debt. We cannot allow it to increase by one more penny.
I know.
In fact, it's got to start going down. And the best way to do that is we have to unleash this economy. We have the most dynamic economy the world has ever seen, but the government has this heavy foot on the neck of business and industry. We have oppressive taxes. We have the highest corporate tax rate in the world. I mean, we have everything in place to make sure that we keep our economy depressed. The only thing that benefits from a depressed economy is the proliferation of government programs.
When I ask how do we get the people to overcome fear of losing something, I don't want to gloss over your answer to that question because it was so powerful that I had goosebumps from it, in that we have to start organizing together and getting with people and discussing these things so we can come together and get past that fear in order to bring on a change. And I had not realized that was a way of doing it. And that is an excellent way of doing it.
Exactly, because, the power still rests with us, the people. But we have to exercise it in a responsible way. We have to know what's going on. We have to know who our representatives are. We have to know how they voted, not how they said they voted, because you listen to them, they'll say, oh, man, Obamacare is horrible and all the things that were done. Then you'll go and find they voted for it.
Yes.
I mean, you got to know yourself. And when you have these neighborhood discussions, assign some people to find out how your representatives voted. You need to know about the real history of America, not the rewritten history of America. You need to find out about finances. You need to find out, what the reserve currency of the world is, because we are the reserve currency of the world, which is why we can print money. Well, what does that mean? And what happens if we're no longer the reserve currency, which is likely to be the case, in the relatively near future, because we will no longer be the number one economy by the end of this year because we are not growing and China is. We can reverse that trend, no question, if we have the right kind of leadership. But people need to understand what's going on so the appropriate things can be done.
I want to go quickly back to what happened in Gitmo with those detainees. Was it wrong for Obama to do it that way?
Of course it was. We have a policy of not negotiating with terrorists. There is a very good reason for that, because once you start down that hill, there's no end to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a reason we don't do that. We have other methods of doing things, and we don't have to necessarily talk about what they are.
Right.
I think that's a stupid thing for us to sit there and broadcast what we will do and what we won't do and what we can and what we can't do. They don't have to know. We don't want our enemies to know what we can do.
Your book is so logical. Do you want to do me a kind favor, one that would last forever, and announce right here today that you will run? Just do it for me.
I will announce this. I will do what I feel led by God to do.
Right on. Let me take a short break. You're with us for 20 minutes. Let me take a short break. When I come back, I want you to tell folks how to get this book. Okay, folks, for those who are listening here, Dr. Carson is in Atlanta today. And from there, on June 2nd, he will be in Jackson, Mississippi. And on June 3rd, Montgomery, Alabama, June 4th. That's for all my friends and family members down in Montgomery. He will be there. And then on June 4th, San Antonio. And June 8th, somewhere. Go to his website, realbencarson.com, REAL, bencarson.com, and check out his schedule. Dr. Carson, tell the folks how to get your book. I'm sure it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere. All the major bookstores, Amazon, all Christian bookstores. It's virtually everywhere in the country.
Yes. When you don't have to give me an answer now, but when you become president, remember Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. I want to be your White House preacher or something.
I would love to have you.
You say something that was interesting to me, that you believe America's best days are ahead. I have hope that that is possible. Why are you so sure that will be?
Well, first of all, when I see the reactions around the country, red states, blue states, north, south, east, west, just incredible record-breaking crowds of people, just so excited. And recognizing that we have been blessed in this country with incredible resources. And if we learn how to use those things rather than suppress them, it's amazing what we'll be able to do. Bringing back things like our space program. You know, not so much because we need to have men walking around on Mars, but because the number of inventions that came out of the space program that help us in our daily lives. You know, we need to be fostering those kinds of things, not suppressing them. And we have money for those if we stop wasting it on things, on government programs that aren't producing anything that's worthwhile.
Yes.
And recognizing if we get the kind of leadership in place that understands that all of our people are resources and we need to develop all of them, and we need to provide the kinds of pathways where people can empower themselves and move up the economic ladder, not mechanisms to remain complacent in a dependent position.
That's right. Two short questions. We have about 2 minutes here now. One is I'm getting texts from folks wanting to know when will you be in L.A. or will you be in L.A. anytime soon?
I will not be in L.A. anytime soon. I was there recently, and I only get there every few months. So
yeah, I saw you down in Orange County there. It was a powerful speech that you gave down there with family research.
We had a good time.
It did. And my final question, sir, is the moral values have declined in America in a great way, especially among young people. Can we bring America back without changing the value of the folks?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, we can. But we have to start talking about it again. We cannot be silent when we see things going on. We see things like the liberalization of the use of marijuana among people whose brains are still developing. You know, the human brain continues to develop until your late 20s, and there is incontrovertible evidence that use of that drug has a deleterious effect on the developing brain. And we say nothing. And we sit around and spend all this time and energy talking about whether a kid's going to eat this carbohydrate or that carbohydrate while their brain is being destroyed by marijuana. You know, we just got to get our priorities straight.
Yes. Dr. Carson, I appreciate your time, sir, and I know you have a busy schedule. You took time out for us this morning, and God bless you in what you're doing, and I have the utmost respect for you, and I appreciate your wisdom.
Well, thank you so much. I always love hearing you, and everything you have to say, it reeks of wisdom as well, and I thanks for what you do.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.